Ladies and gentlemen, we got the UFC Atlanta Fight Night on Saturday, and honestly, it's a pretty damn good card. Like, this card is pretty stacked. Let's go through it. We're gonna talk about this a little bit, break down some of the fights, not all of them, but we're gonna break down a lot of the good fights that are on this card. Because honestly, I think this is one of the sleeper cards of the year, especially for it being a UFC Fight Night. So let's get into it. First off, we're going to start in the prelims with Phil Rowe and Angelusa. So Angelusa is pretty good. He's an up-and-coming dude out of the Democratic Republic of Congo. He's pretty badass. But Phil Rowe, he's got that veteran, ability in him where he's fought in the UFC a good amount of times. He's pretty good everywhere, good on the feet. He's really good on the ground. He's got really good jiu-jitsu. I'm going to have to go Phil Rowe on this one due to the experience, but I can see Angelus, catching Phil Rowe on the feet, here and there. He's got really good power, but I don't think Angelusa has, as much of a tight game as Phil Rowe has. I think Phil Rowe's going to go in there with a good game plan. He might wear him down for 3 rounds and then get a late submission, but I see Phil Rowe taking this one home. And honestly, I don't know why he's so low on the prelims. I don't know if it's because, this is a UFC Fight Night, so they're trying to make the prelims pretty stacked so you can watch the main card, but I would like to see Phil Rowe up there in the higher part of the prelims. I don't think Phil Rowe or Ricky Simone should be fighting before Paul Craig. I think that's just insane. Next up, we do got Ricky Simone versus Cameron Sutherland. Now, this one is going to be a banger, to be honest, and I have no idea why it's the third fight of the night. This is insane. I get, put some of the firework fights early on, but Ricky Simone, he's a vet. He's like 1 or 2 fights away from being in the top 15 of that division. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised that he's not ranked already, at least, 14 or 15, but he beat Marab. He beat the champion in this division, so it's kind of crazy that he's this low on the prelims, but he's fighting a really good young guy, Cameron Smotherman. Ricky Simone coming off a win, Cameron Smotherman coming off a loss. I do see Ricky Simone taking this fight. Ricky Simone, I think he's gonna, he's got really good wrestling, really good boxing, and he's just been looking good with each fight, recently. I'm gonna give it to Ricky. I do think the veteran in him, he's got that experience over Cameron, and but Cameron's really good. He's really good. He's young. He just needs to get, he needs to tighten up some things on the ground and on the feet. But other than that, this is going to be a banger of a fight. I'm going to give it to Ricky Simone. Maybe I could see him winning by decision, but also I could see him finishing the fight later on, maybe in the 2nd or 3rd round. But I'm giving this one Ricky Simone. Next up, we have another banger of a fight, which is really going to be a good fight. We got Cody Durden, and then we got Jose Ochoa. Honestly, kind of same thing. Cody Durden coming in with the experience. I think he got TKO'd in his last fight, or maybe he just got his bell rung a couple times in his last fight. I do remember him losing to another really good guy. I haven't really seen so much of Jose Ochoa, but he's only had 8 fights, right? And, he's going against Cody Durden, who's had over 25 fights. This is going to be his 26th fight, and I do see experience playing out a little more in this fight. Maybe if Jose, catches Cody on the feet, but Cody's really good all around everywhere. I think Cody, same thing as some of these other guys. He just needs to tighten up some of the skills, and he's going to be, a really good flyweight if he tightens up his striking, tightens up his, grappling mixed within his striking. I'm going to give this one to Cody Durden because of experience. We got 3 back-to-back red corner wins for me early on in this fight. But this one's going to be a really good fight. The prelims are going to be fucking banging from literally the get. So make sure you guys don't miss the prelims because these are going to be good. Jose Ochoa, he just needs to, take that last loss, put it behind him, and learn from it, get better from it. Nobody really goes undefeated in this sport. So I do see him coming back with, some fire under his ass, and this is going to be a really good fight. I think he's going to want to put some fists on Cody Durden's chin, especially after Cody Durden's last fight. If I'm Cody, I'm putting him up against the cage, I'm using my wrestling, and then I'm just showing my experience through this whole fight right here. So I see Cody taking this one home. USA all the way. Let's go. Next up, we got Malcolm Wellmaker. He came in on the Dana White Contract Series with a crazy knockout. He's going up against Chris Moitinho. Now, Chris is, he's got a big he's in the news right now because he got cut after that Sugar fight. He won 4 or 5 fights in a row, all by stoppage. But there's a little bit of a asterisk on that because he has fought dudes with losing records or guys on losing streaks. So that's not like super impressive. So I do see him coming back. Honestly, he probably gets worked on the feet. It might be a good fight because Chris does have that experience, right? And Malcolm, he's new to the UFC, but he's a rising star. And I know that he's going into this fight going, I'm going to knock this dude out. I can knock Chris Moitinho out, or I'm going to whoop his ass just like Sugar did, because Malcolm, he throws bombs. He's got really good striking. But we'll see how he goes on into like the later rounds of the fight. If this fight drags out and Chris starts gaining some, momentum on his side, I could see Malcolm having a little bit of trouble there, not being, that deep into his UFC career and not being, that experienced in the later rounds. But I do see this being a good chance for Malcolm to gain that experience, especially if he's winning the fight the whole time. Put it on him, put the pressure on him, put those knuckles in his face. Moitinho's going to walk forward, maybe. We don't know how, if he's made really any adjustments since that Sugar fight, or if he's changed up, his fight style since. I doubt it. I would like to see Malcolm be long and rangy and pick his shots. Kind of like, give him a Joshua Van type of ass whooping, Joshua Van is really good with maintaining the distance, slowing down the pace, putting the jab in your face, low kicks, and then just setting up that right hand, right? I would like to see that from Malcolm. I'd like to see him just a little more calm, not really, too eager to finish Chris. I would like to see him slow shit down and just put it on him. Just put it on Chris. That's how you beat him. You just got to put the volume on him. You got to move around. You got to take those angles, and then you just got to make it look pretty, right? Because Chris is going to want to make it look dirty, make it, really a scrap and find those big shots. But we'll see if that happens. I got Malcolm Wellmaker in this fight. I think he's a really good prospect coming up, and I think we're going to see a lot more good from him in the future. Next up, we got Michael Chiesa and Court McGee. Now, this is a battle of two vets right here. This is going to be a really fun fight. Court McGee is a plus 275 underdog, which is honestly crazy that Michael Chiesa is a negative 345 favorite, because I do see Court McGee winning this fight. He puts on that pressure, he puts on that pace. He's got, really good stamina, really good endurance. And I think he's got, a little bit of an underrated striking game. But honestly, I think Michael Chiesa has an underrated striking game as well. When he was fighting Sean Brady, he was kind of piecing him up in the boxing, and then he would go for a takedown or go for a clinch, right? I hated that. I was getting so pissed watching that Chiesa and Sean Brady fight, because Chiesa could have beat him if he kept the fight on the feet. So I'm thinking Chiesa gets the job done, keeping the fight on the feet, staying long. Court McGee, they're both, journeymen, and not to say that in a disrespectful way, but I meant to say more like super experienced veterans who are kind of like at the tail end of their career. We know Michael Chiesa only wants a couple more fights. This might be his last fight. I'm not too sure. Court McGee, I'm not too sure where he wants to go with his career, but these two dudes, it's going to be a good fight. I think they're going to go out. They're going to bang it out, and I think Michael Chiesa is going to get his hand raised, especially if they get into like any kind of clinch or grappling situation. I do think Michael Chiesa wins there. Court McGee, the only way I see him winning is on the feet, but like I said, Michael Chiesa does have an underrated striking game, but sometimes he does get caught in grappling situations. And Court McGee, don't sleep on his grappling either. Do not sleep on Court McGee's grappling. He's a really good grappler as well. He's been in the game for a really long time. He's really good everywhere. This is a great veteran versus veteran fight. And honestly, I wish it was something the UFC would do more with veterans. I don't like seeing, old veterans that are kind of on the way out fighting young and up-and-coming guys no more. I don't like to see that. I like to see veterans versus veterans, kind of like with how Wonder Boy is fighting I forget who he's fighting. Oh yeah, Bonfim. The Bonfim brothers are really good. They're really great. But I would like to see Wonder Boy starting to fight, other veterans in that weight class. It would be fun to see. And Kamaru Usman's not on the way out, but it would have been fun to see, Stephen Thompson versus Kamaru Usman or something like that. Maybe they did fight, and that's just fleeting my memory, but I'm just throwing it out there as an example. But I see Michael Chiesa winning this fight. So far, everyone in the red corner I'm picking so far, which is kind of weird. That might be a little bit of a no-no for me. But next up, we got Paul Craig versus Rodolfo Bellato. This is going to be the first time I'm going to actually be going for the blue corner in this fight. Rodolfo, he throws bombs. He walks people down. Paul Craig is not really known for, but he's a little chinny at times. And but if this fight does go to the ground, I do see Paul Craig throwing up some submission threats. If he could get to Rodolfo Balato's back, I could see him choking him out or getting some kind of front headlock submission and finding the choke there. I think as long as Rodolfo Balato keeps the fight on the feet, puts the pressure on Paul Craig, avoids any clinches, avoids, getting pushed up against the cage, maintaining that stamina through 3 rounds, and then just trying to find, don't look for the big shot, but just try to put your fists on Paul Craig's face. And Paul Craig's actually fighting at light heavyweight this time, so really, try to exploit your weight, try to exploit your power, and I think he gets the job done. Rodolfo Balato with, either a decision win or maybe, a knockout early or later on in the fight. I could see it being both ways. Moving on to the main card, we're going to talk about the last 4 fights. We got Cody Garbrandt versus Raoni Barcelos. To be honest, I do see Raoni Barcelos getting the job done here. I think in the most recent times, he's fought the harder opponents. He did get knocked out by Umar, but he, fraud checked Peyton Talbot, and then he beat Said Nurmagomedov, so I think he's fought the better competition recently in his last couple fights. Cody Garbrandt is coming off of a win, I believe, but even in that fight, he's coming off of a loss. Wow, who did he lose to? Oh yeah, that's right, he lost to Davison Figueiredo by submission. My apologies, I totally forgot about that. That was cornrow Cody right there. Yeah, I do see Barcelos winning this fight. I think he's good. He's got the tighter striking. He's really good on the ground as well. And honestly, though, it just kind of depends on what Cody shows up. If Cody shows up and tries to fight smart, but I don't know, man. I think he's just a little bit past his prime. I don't think, he's got that juice in him anymore. But I do think, Raoni Barcelos is an up-and-coming bantamweight. He's fought the harder competition. He has a win over Said Nurmagomedov, which is huge. He was doing really good in that Umar fight until he got caught. Like, don't get me wrong, he did get knocked out. But he was doing really well in that fight, putting the pressure on Umar, kicking back when Umar was kicking, not letting him, get away with anything. So I do see Raoni Barcelos winning this fight. He did put it on Peyton Talbot. He put the pressure on him. He had that stamina to just keep going and putting that pace on Peyton, and he was beating him up everywhere, on the feet, on the ground. I do see Raoni Barcelos walking away with the win. Maybe by submission, since, Cody did get submitted by a flyweight in his last fight, which is kind of just not, the greatest thing to happen to Cody. It's not a good look for him at all. But, if he doesn't get submitted, I do see him kind of getting worked on the ground a bit. Cody's really good in the first round, right? We got to just be careful with anything in the first round. He's really good at scrambles. He's really good, at counter-striking. But I do see Raoni walking away with this win at UFC Atlanta. Next up, we got another banger, Edmen Shahbazyan versus Andre Petroski. I see Edmen, fending off the takedowns, and he has better boxing, better striking. Andre has, in terms of striking, that one-punch knockout with his right hand if he throws a really good bomb, but he doesn't really starch anybody. Both of them coming off of wins. I do see Edmen Shahbazyan taking that momentum and beating Andre Petroski, so long as he could just keep Andre off of his feet. Now, we have seen Edmen kind of, lose some grappling situations in the past. Andre is really good at wrestling, though. Like, he is really good at putting that pressure on and getting on people's legs and taking them down and smothering them in the fight. I do think he's lacking in the striking in this fight. I think Edmen is a great striker. I think his striking is better than Andre's, more than Andre's wrestling is better than Edmen's wrestling, right? So I do see Edmen going in there, putting the pace on, getting the hands on Andre's face, frustrating him, staying off the cage. But that's the goal with Andre. Andre needs to get him on the cage. He needs to cross the void and get into there, get onto his legs, onto his waist, get him on the cage, get him to the ground, and just wear him out, because Edmen has really good boxing. If he could tire his arms out, that boxing goes away, right? So, throw a lot of kicks to the arm when you can, and then just, wrestle. Just wrestle. Make Edmen Shahbazyan work against the cage, whether that's clinching, pushing him up, making him, fight for underhooks, fight for overhooks, stuff like that. But I do see Andre kind of getting beat up on the feet here a little bit, but we'll see. This is a good fight. I think I got Edmen Shahbazyan just from the striking, staying in the center, keeping Andre off his legs, and then just, straight punches, beating him to the punch, and then just being long and rangy, right? Next up, we got Rose Namajunas versus Miranda Maverick. Now, this is kind of the same thing with the Edmund Shabazian and Andre Petroski fight, right? Miranda's really good at wrestling. She's really good at grappling. She's going to want to get in there and, make Rose gas out. If we've seen Rose get wrestled before, get put on her back, but she's really good at turning the tide, right? We've seen Zhang Wei Li wrestle Rose, and it's not hard to take her down necessarily, and it's not hard to, stay on top and beat her up on top, but it is going to be hard to cross that void with Rose, especially with Miranda Maverick's striking. I don't think it's the greatest striking in that division. I think Rose leaps and bounds ahead of Miranda in terms of striking, and she's really short, so I would like to see Rose really use her, long distance punching, straight jabs, straight crosses, using her kicks to keep Miranda off of her, specifically head kicks and then a low calf kick. So it's harder for her to catch those kicks, right? And then maybe if Rose is southpaw, blast that rear kick to the body a bunch, so we could just keep Miranda from level changing, especially with those head kicks. Rose has a really good switch head kick. I wouldn't switch head kick too much, just because it's doing a lot with the feet, and then if Miranda blitzes in, it could catch her off balance there. But I would like to see Rose using really long punches. Fight behind your jab this fight. Fight behind, setting up that right hand, long straight right hand. And then I would like to see teeps up the middle too. Long, rangy kicks from Rose all day. But Miranda, she needs to cross that void, needs to get her to the cage, needs to get her down, needs to make her work off of her back. Rose is comfortable with being on her back and not getting up too much. So the more she could get Rose down and on her back, the better for her. And then she just needs to maintain that top position. She needs to maintain, being strong. She is, a natural flyweight. Rose came up from strawweight, so she needs to use that strength to her advantage. But it does look like Rose is going to be a little bit bigger than her, but I don't think she's thicker. She might not be as strong as Miranda, since Miranda is a natural flyweight, but it's going to be a very good fight between the matchups of the two. I'm going Rose just for the nostalgia. Heart says Rose. And brain kind of says Rose too. I think she's the better veteran here. I think she's, she's been there, done that. She's seen, the best grapplers in her division. She's fought against the best strikers in her division. So I do think Miranda is going to lose here by decision. I think Rose just beats her up for 3 rounds. Maybe Rose catches her in a submission. Maybe we see a Rose from old, right, where she's just really submission hungry. Maybe gets Miranda's back. Maybe gets an armbar from bottom or something like that. Maybe a triangle. I can see a triangle being hit, but Rose, in most recent fights, likes to keep the fight standing, likes to win the fight on the feet. I do believe she got robbed in her last fight. Let me check out her last fight, because I kind of forget. Yeah, so her last fight was, a loss to Erin Blanchfield, which, is going to have... If I'm Miranda, I'm watching that fight, and I'm watching how she got on Rose's legs, took her down, and then just take that same game plan. This is going to be a 3-round fight, so the earlier she could get Rose down, and the longer, the better for her. So, I think I'm going to go Rose with this fight. I want to see her learn from that last loss, and then, just keep Miranda off her legs, and then just maintain that distance. Next up, we got the main event, and boys, this is going to be a banger of a fight. We got Kamaru Usman, the former welterweight champ, versus Joaquin Buckley, up-and-coming star. Freaking great on the feet. He's really good everywhere. It's hard to get him to the ground. It's hard to choke this guy out. And same thing with Kamaru. They're kind of, built the same in terms of, they're hard to get to the ground. They're hard to submit. We've seen that with Khamzat Chimaev when he fought Kamaru. He took him down, got to his back, and he could not do anything to Kamaru. And we know how good Khamzat is when he gets on people's backs. He's going to choke you out. You know what I mean? So... it is kind of funny that they got Kamaru Usman repping Nigeria here. He is a United States citizen, and he did go to college here and wrestle for America. So, it is what it is. He is the Nigerian Nightmare. Joaquin representing the United States. We got a record of 20-4 for Kamaru and a record of 21-6 for Joaquin Buckley. So they fought. Joaquin actually has more fights than Kamaru. That's kind of surprising. Kamaru coming off of his last fight against Khamzat. He hasn't fought since, so he's taken a lot of time off. So, his body's recouped. I think his brain's doing good because, he did get knocked out by Leon Edwards, a couple years ago. But I think he's doing good. I think he's healthy. Joaquin Buckley did say that his knees, we can't forget Kamaru Kamaru Usman does not have any knees. His knees are shot. And fighting against someone like Buckley, that is going to play a significant role because Buckley is very good at taking angles. He's very explosive on shifting, from orthodox to southpaw and then striking off of his shifts. And that's the key. That is the number one key for Joaquin Buckley. Play your game to a T. You need to be explosive. You need to walk Kamaru down. You need to, shift and find angles and punch over Kamaru's jab and not let Kamaru get his jab going. Don't let him push you against the cage, which honestly I don't think Kamaru's going to be doing a whole lot of because he does, talk about how it is, harder for him to wrestle the longer, his career goes on. And if I'm Buckley too, we've never really seen anyone attack Kamaru's legs a lot. If I'm Buckley, I'm leg kicking. I'm throwing, kicks to that knee, oblique stomps. I'm throwing calf kicks. Why not, right? If Kamaru doesn't have great knees, fuck his legs up. Take away his striking, take away his ability to wrestle. If you mess up somebody's legs, especially someone who's really box heavy like Kamaru, you need to attack his legs, and then you need to attack his legs to that wouldn't allow him to wrestle as much, right? And Kamaru Usman, he needs to do what he does. He needs to find his jab early, and I would like to see him throw the jab to the chest early on in the fight because Buckley's gonna have a really good footwork, right? He's gonna have good angle changes, good shifting in his stance. So the way you find somebody is you jab them in the chest. It's a bigger target. It allows you to kind of find that range, and then once you start finding that range to the chest, you can lower that to the body, and then you can find it to the head, right? So now he doesn't really know where that jab's coming from. He needs to make all those attacks look the same. He needs to make the jabs to the body look the same. He needs to make the jabs to the head look the same. And then that sets up that right hand. We all know Kamaru, if he lands that right hand, we've seen Buckley get hurt in the past. If Kamaru can land that right hand, who knows what will happen. And if he could turn this into a dogfight, that is where he needs it to be because Buckley is going to be shifting stances. He's going to be exploding forward. Maybe Kamaru can catch him while Buckley is exploding forward, right? It's going to be hard to put someone like Buckley against the cage. He's very, very explosive, very, very strong. Look at the chest on this dude. This dude is huge, right? And he's got nice long arms. He's built everywhere. He's going to be just as strong as Kamaru, and I think he just needs to use his youth as an advantage here. He needs to be able to put all that energy that he's got and just, overwhelm Kamaru everywhere on the feet. Don't be in front of him. Don't be a sitting target. And then just beat up Kamaru everywhere the fight goes. If Kamaru wants to clinch, hurt him for clinching you. If he wants to try to take you down, hurt him for that. If he wants to strike with you, stay off on angles and then beat him up on angles. Kamaru, there's really only a couple ways he wins this fight is setting up his jab and trying to find that right hand and then just, being good on his jab. Try to find Buckley's chin, but find Buckley's chin by changing targets, going to the body, making sure that he stays in front of you, right? And it's going to be hard to do. It really is. And that Joaquin Buckley has said that, his knees, that's going to take a big toll in the fight. And Buckley, his strategy is to just find the angles, get all over Kamaru, stay all over him, maybe take him down, maybe put Kamaru on his back when he finds the opportunity to put, Kamaru against the cage, use his strength, pick Kamaru up, take him down, right? Be very explosive everywhere you go. He's got the endurance and the stamina to do so. We've seen Buckley go 3 rounds hard, right? Especially, in fights that he's losing as well. So I do see Buckley winning this fight. My heart wants to go for Kamaru, but my brain says Buckley. And yeah, I think it's going to be a really good fight. I'm excited for this one. If, Kamaru wins, who knows what's next for him? He says he wants to fight Islam Makhachev next, and then he wants to fight Dricus du Plessis. I do think he's looking a little too far into the future because Buckley is going to be a handful. What happens to those fights when Buckley beats you? And then when Buckley wins, I think if Buckley wins here, you call for the title or you call for, Ian Gary or someone in the top 5. Fight somebody who will get you that belt next, right? Or, you fight for the belt next. And whether that's Ian Gary or Bilal Muhammad, I do think that Buckley is an upcoming rising star in that welterweight division. I do think that he's going to have a bright future there. And yeah, those are the fights. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a banger. UFC Atlanta, do not sleep on it. The whole card looks stacked. It's going to be a fun night. Free fights. So, what more could you ask for? But anyway, that's the video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I will be seeing you guys on the next one. Peace out.